The Bible's full of the excuses of bad self-perception. Things that many of us can relate to. God came to Abraham and had an incredible plan for Abraham. And Abraham said, I'm too old. God came to Timothy and said, I've got an incredible plan for you. And Timothy said, I'm too young. God came to a man named Saul and said, I've got an incredible plan for you. I've raised up this nation. I've put it together out of 12 tribes. It's called Israel. I'm going to favor them and use them as an example like no culture that's ever existed. And it's come to the point where I need to establish a king for them. And Saul, I want you to be the first official king of Israel. Let's see what Saul said about that. Saul answered, but am I not a Benjamite from the smallest tribe of Israel? And is not my clan the least of all the clans of the tribe of Benjamin? Why do you say such a thing to me? Who am I? I can't do this. I don't have that much education. And don't you understand what side of the tracks I was born on? I'm a woman. Don't you see the color of my skin? Don't you understand how I was raised? I was so shortchanged in my childhood. You see, no matter what our excuses and how legitimate the realities of what it was, the plan of God for our life still hinges on self-perception. That's why there's people that came from very, very terrible childhoods and they ended up being drunks living under the bridge their whole life. And there were other people who came from those same childhoods that became national figures, inventors, presidents. Because it's not about were you born with a silver spoon in your mouth or not. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as a beggar or do you see yourself as a king? Do you have a grasshopper mindset or do you have a giant mindset? I'm the giant. We see through the Bible what happens when a demoniac changes his self-perception. He goes from living in the tombs close to the beach, the most feared, rejected person that you can ever imagine in culture. But he allows Jesus to come in and change his self-perception, and he becomes the greatest evangelist in a 10-city area. Jesus delivers this demoniac, changes his self-perception. Jesus gets back on the boat, goes back across the lake, doesn't do anything else. In the meantime, this demoniac, his self-perception now has changed. He sees himself differently. Now he goes into Decapolis, 10 cities. He begins to evangelize. Jesus gives this ex-demoniac time to evangelize, gets back in the boat, goes back to the region of Decapolis, and suddenly Jesus is drawing large crowds and doing incredible miracles. Because of Jesus? Not Jesus first. Well, Jesus first, I guess he delivered the demoniac. But there was a John the Baptist that prepared the way, and it was that demoniac. And the only thing that had to happen for 10 cities to be evangelized was one man have his self-perception changed, have his self-image changed. We see in the Bible what happens when a prostitute changes her self-perception, how she sees herself. She becomes one of the closest people to Jesus. The first to see revelations of him before anybody else. Simply because she changed how she saw herself.